Hey, thanks for clicking into the video. For this video, I want to talk about collecting watches in general and the finance side of it. So from the comment I've seen in my videos, some people talked about how it's really non-logical and just insane for someone to spend so much money on watches. And in all honesty, my collection is pretty small compared to a lot of people's. A lot of people I've met someone with 200 Patek Philippe's and maybe another 100-ish Rolex, and that is one of the example. And I've seen many other people with same level of collections around. And I would like to explain why would someone spends like upward $1 million up to like 20 million on watches, and why would, like, if it's such a bad decision, why would someone that's so successful in life choose to do so? And the reason is simple. Watches actually hold their value reasonably well in comparison to other luxury hobbies. For example, supercar collecting. If you buy a Lamborghini now, it costs around, in Australia, $750,000 for a Aventador. And if you sell it in 2 or 3 years, you're probably looking at around $500,000, even less. But if you look at watches, right, you can buy one of the new model, so what watches that's still available, and you can buy them for maybe, let's say, this Patek Philippe. The retail price is, if I remember it correctly, in Australia, $56,000. And I bought this exact watch that's for $56,000 for about $40,000, brand new, in a box, in Asia. I'm not gonna state which country, but found a good deal. Someone bought it and then decided that's not for them, not for him, and then sold it. So it was still brand new, it was still in the seal. And $40,000, I can easily sell this watch again for maybe 35,000 USD, which is more than 40,000 Australian dollars. That pretty much means that I will not lose a single cent on it, and I'll probably get some profit out of it. And that applied to a lot of watches here. Maybe not the Time Pyramid, and definitely not the MP412C. These two watches definitely lost some values there. Omega Speedmaster, I bought this watch for $2.8 thousand in Japan in a New Year sale, and I can easily sell this for $3,500. It's on an NATO strap at the moment, but yeah, there's a original clasp and whatnot. Same goes for the Lange, really. I bought this Lange for $40,000, and 40,000 Australian dollars, by the way. So that will convert to somewhere around $32,000 USD. And that means I can sell this Lange pretty easily for, let's say, like, I can sell this Lange pretty easily for around 40,000, maybe 45,000 dollars Australian dollars. So I actually make a profit on the Lange as well. And that apply for, well, especially the Rolex. I bought this Rolex actually brand new for around 10,000 Australian dollars. And now you can still sell them for 10,000 Australian dollars. But if I were you, if I spent 10,000 Australian dollars on a Rolex before, I would go overseas and sell them overseas. You can sell for $9 grand USD, and that converts to like $12,000 Australian dollars, and you make like a $2,000 profit. I mean, these are estimates. I'm just pulling this like out of my head. I don't have the exact pricing for it. I'm not a merchant, but these watches, beside this too, of course, hold their value quite reasonably well. And that's probably why someone is willing to spend so much money on investing into a hobby. And you can see from auction results in the past few years, a lot of vintage Patek Philippe's, vintage Rolex, or collectible Patek Philippe's and Rolex have been gaining their values. People bought some Patek, like, for example, Patek Philippe's bought in the 2003 or 4 auctions for around $75,000 to $100,000. So it has been auctioned off for like $400,000, $300,000 recently. And that's like a 300% gain. I mean, in investment terms, yes, you can make more if you invest into stocks, but this is not an investment. You can treat it like an investment, but personally, I would recommend it to treat it just like a hobby that doesn't really cost you anything if you play it right. Of course, if you're buying, let's say, if you want to buy a Rolex for your 20th anniversary, for, let's say, marriage, or maybe just like to celebrate your first child, something like that, you'll probably never sell it. Then you can maybe not consider the resale value, but most of the time, most collectors out there will consider the resale value even if they have no intention of selling the watch when they purchase it. I mean, I have no intention of selling most of my watch when I purchase them, but of course, if I find it like not comfortable, or maybe I just don't like it as much anymore, I will sell them. But I don't buy them as like thinking, hey, I'm gonna sell this soon to flip it into a profit. No, if I want to do that, I'll just put that money back into investment, because I'm an investor, and to me, this is $40,000. You can easily make that into, well, not easily, but you can potentially make that $40,000 into $100,000 in a year. So this, in investment term, is a pretty horrible investment. This is almost worse than putting the money just in a bank. Because in Australia, you get like a 3.5% or something interest rate. Well, now it's lower. Now it's around 3%, I think. But back in the days, you can get a 4.5% interest rate. And putting these watches, let's say a Rolex Submariner, into like the same value, equivalent value of money into the bank, will probably get you more interest. And overall, after like 2 years of wearing, like 2 years of time, you'll make more money just by putting the money in the bank and getting the interest. But if you buy these watches, you can enjoy it as well. So that's why I say you should treat watch collecting as a hobby. And in that sense, as a hobby, it's actually not too bad at all if you consider any other hobby that's out there. Like let's say cameras. Like personally, I'm into photography as well. I'm not a good photographer. I'm actually a pretty horrible photographer, but I know a little bit about cameras, and I know how much the good gears can cost. But if you think about it, if you buy a good Leica with a good lens, with a good Nautilus or Summilux or whatnot, it will easily cost you $20,000, $30,000. And when you're in time to resell them, you're going to lose some of those value. And cameras, especially digital cameras, because nowadays digital goods are updating so fast that in 2 or 3 years, your best gears are considered to be like second rate. Like my A7 when I bought it, which is not the best gear, but A7 when I bought it was a pretty good camera. But nowadays, if you compare it to like say A7 II, Fujifilm X-T1, it's not even that great anymore. So watches, it's probably because it's mechanical. It's kind of like an old-fashioned hobby, like when mechanical watches, it's been around for 200-300 years, and people just don't update them much anymore. So that's why it's keeping its value, because the new competitor normally always have the same technology inside. I mean, all of these watches function, the way it operates is pretty much exactly the same. They have the same kind of technology inside. Maybe not this one have a double twin barrel, but I mean, it's been around for 300 years anyway, the same technology. So it's not really like a technological breakthrough. Sorry, my English is not that great. So, conclusion is, watch collecting is great, and no, actually, maybe I shouldn't say that, but conclusion is, yes, it's not the most reasonable investment, but if you treat it as a hobby, it's actually a pretty good hobby, because you can actually potentially make some profit out of it. It's kind of like whiskey collecting, but in whiskey collecting, when you're collecting whiskey, you actually need to drink them. So when you drink them, you just actually consume them, so they disappear, so you can't sell them anymore. But for watches, you can wear them, enjoy it, and then sell it, because nothing really, unless you damage it, it's going to be the exact same thing when you bought it. Sorry if I went around in a big circle there, because I didn't really plan this out too well. I just want to pretty much talk about what I thought about the whole hobby in general, and treat this as like my defense against all the people talking about how watch collecting is such a horrible hobby, or spending so much money is wrong, or whatnot. Yes, this is a significant amount of money. I'm not at the level where I can throw away $200,000 and don't break a sweat about it. $200,000 to me still means a lot, and is exactly why I chose this hobby, because I know if I throw out $200,000 into this hobby, I can most likely get my $200,000 back. And for example, when this kind of stuff happened, when I bought this watch, I realized this watch, and people tell see from Tag Heuer, when I bought this watch, I realized that I'm going to lose some value on it. Why is it not focusing? I know that I'm going to lose some value. So what I did was I actually went to Asia. I purchased around 5 Submariner, brought it back, sold it all, and made the loss back straight away. It was not the double one, by the way. I bought around 5 16610 in Asia, came back to Australia, sold them, and flip it for profit, so I can make the loss back from this watch, just to have a peace of mind. But that's about it. I've been doing this for about 3 years. I'm a pretty new collector, but yeah, I'll recommend people that's interested and have some capital, I say decent amount of savings, it's sitting around, and you're putting in the bank, you're not really interested in investment, you've been looking at this kind of hobby for a while, maybe invest in, let's say, a secondhand Rolex. Secondhand is always a way to go, because buy brand new, you'll definitely lose around 50% in most brands. But if you buy secondhand, someone else is losing that 50% for you. So why not, right? All right, that's end of the rant. It's a pretty long video for just a rant, but yeah, thank you for watching.